Episode 1: The Lost Message, South African Folktales. Hello, and welcome to Fables for Dreaming. Fables for Dreaming is calm, immersive storytelling dedicated to retelling the world's greatest myths, folklore, and legends. Each episode invites you to slow down and listen as tales are carefully reimagined for modern listeners. If you enjoy these episodes, please subscribe to our channel. Please note that these episodes are AI generated. Tonight, let us settle into a quiet corner of the natural world, into a place so small that it is often overlooked, and yet so ancient that it has existed for as long as memory itself. This is the story of the ants, whose lives unfold close to the earth, beneath leaves and stones, in the patient rhythm of work and survival. It is a gentle tale, though tinged with a quiet sadness, and it asks only that you listen, unhurried, as the night deepens around you. From time immemorial, the ants had lived under constant threat. Small though they were, their numbers were many, and for that reason, they attracted enemies on all sides. Birds watched from above, quick-eyed and hungry. The anteater roamed the ground, slow but relentless, feeding almost entirely upon them. The centipede lurked in shadows and narrow places, appearing whenever an ant strayed too far from safety. And so, the ants labored, generation after generation, aware that danger was never far away, yet continuing on as they always had. Over time, their losses grew heavy. Hills were destroyed, tunnels were emptied, whole communities vanished between one sunrise and the next. And among the ants, there arose at last a quiet but serious thought. Perhaps it was time to gather together and speak, not as scattered individuals, but as one people, and see whether there might be some way to survive more safely in a world so full of enemies. So, a council was called. On a mild day, when the light filtered gently through grass and leaf, ants of many kinds came together. There were red ants, swift and fiery; rice ants, careful and methodical; black ants, strong and steady; wagtail ants, light-footed and restless; grey ants, thoughtful and reserved; shining ants, whose bodies caught the sun like polished stone; and there were many others besides, each carrying the habits, instincts, and wisdom of their own kind. They gathered in a wide circle upon the earth, and for a long while there was only the sound of the wind moving through stems and soil. Then slowly, voices began to rise. One group spoke first, suggesting that all ants should retreat deep into the ground, into a single narrow opening, hidden from birds and beasts alike. Another answered that such a place would be too cramped, too dark, too limiting for a people so numerous. A different group proposed building a great and solid dwelling upon the surface, strong enough that no enemy could enter, yet shaped so precisely that only ants could pass through its doors. Others shook their heads at this. They dreamed, instead of the trees, of rising above the reach of the anteater, of living among bark and leaves, where the earthbound dangers could not follow. A few, more imaginative still, wondered aloud whether ants might grow wings and take to the air, leaving all crawling enemies behind them. Each idea was spoken with conviction, each was defended with care, yet every proposal met with resistance from another. What one group feared, another dismissed. What one group desired, another could not imagine enduring. And so the council continued, voices overlapping, opinions crossing like paths in tall grass. Time passed. The sun shifted. Shadows lengthened. Still, no agreement came. The gathering became a quiet babel of difference, not angry, but firm, each group holding tightly to its own way of seeing the world. At last, weary and unsatisfied, the council broke apart. There would be no single plan. Each group, it was decided, would follow its own judgment and trust in its own wisdom. And so they did. Within each separate group, unity flourished. Tasks were divided, roles were chosen. Some selected leaders, whom they called kings, though these rulers led more by example than command. Work was done carefully and faithfully. There was order, cooperation, and purpose within every faction. From a distance, it might even have seemed that the ants were thriving. Yet, there was one thing none of them had truly done. None had found a way to protect themselves from their enemies. The red ants built their dwelling upon the ground, constructing it with patience and pride. They labored for many days, shaping passages and chambers, certain that their work would endure. But one afternoon, the anteater arrived. With unhurried ease, he tore apart in moments what had taken so long to build. The red ants scattered, their efforts undone, their unity unable to withstand a single hungry visitor. The rice ants chose the shelter of the earth. They dug deep, storing their food carefully, moving quietly through their tunnels. For a time, they felt safe. But whenever they emerged to gather more, the anteater found them. Again and again, he came, emptying their homes, leaving nothing behind but disturbed soil and silence. The wagtail ants climbed into the trees, just as they had planned. The ground-dwelling enemy could not reach them there. Yet new dangers awaited. Birds noticed them easily among the branches, and in hidden places along the bark, the centipede waited, still and patient. Many wagtail ants never returned from their journeys among the leaves. The gray ants pursued the dream of flight. They walked tirelessly to lift themselves into the air, believing speed and height would save them. But the sky held its own hunters. Lizards leapt, hunting spiders sprang, birds flew faster still. The gift of wings, even if it could be achieved, did not bring the safety they had imagined. One by one, the plans failed. The ants continued their work. They continued their lives. Yet always the losses came, and far away, beyond their knowing, the insect king heard of their struggles. He saw that the ants were diligent. He saw that they were capable, and he understood what they lacked. It was not strength, nor intelligence, nor effort. It was unity beyond division. It was the simple, powerful truth of working together, not only within small groups, but as one. So, the insect king sent a message. It was a message of unity, a message of shared purpose, a message that spoke gently of cooperation across difference, of many kinds moving as one, of survival found not in separate solutions, but in collective strength. For his messenger, he chose the beetle. The beetle set out, carrying the message carefully, his shell gleaming softly in the light. He traveled slowly, steadily, along paths known only to insects. Days passed, nights passed, seasons shifted, and still the beetle did not arrive. Perhaps he lost his way. Perhaps he was delayed by his own burdens. Perhaps he stopped to rest and never continued on. The story does not say. What is known is this: the message never reached the ants. And so, to this day, the ants remain much as they were, tireless, organized, remarkably skilled, yet divided, each kind following its own path, each vulnerable in turn to the many enemies that surround them. It is a quiet ending, without triumph or catastrophe. The ants endure, as they always have, living close to the ground, working endlessly, surviving where they can. And somewhere, unseen, the lost message still waits, carrying within it the simple promise that things might have been otherwise. As the night settles and the world grows still, one might reflect gently on this small tale and allow its meaning to rest without effort. Like the ants themselves, it asks for patience, for attention, and for a calm awareness of how closely survival and harmony are intertwined. And now, the story comes to rest softly, like earth settling after the passing of many tiny feet.